Hello, hello, hello. We are
Hello.
live. Can you hear me, Radina?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Amazing. I can hear you very well. All
Nice.
right. Well, welcome to everybody who's tuning in. This is the first episode of Bootstrapping a Brand, which is a concept that I came up with quite recently, but we'll get into that. First of all, I am Lena. Hello. I'm the founder of Capsules Inc., which is a new storytelling medium. We'll also talk about that a lot more. And I'm currently navigating the landscape of bootstrapping a company and building two brands, which is the brand of my company, Capsules, and my own personal brand as a founder. And bringing to life a company, bootstrapping a company, is has been probably one of the most meaningful and purposeful things that I've done in life, but also probably the most challenging and also lonely path. So as I'm navigating this journey as a brand builder, as a company builder, I wanted to create a conversation, create a container for other brand builders and company builders to come together and share resources and share ideas and best practices on brand building and share stories, most of all, because through stories we learn and we grow and we derive meaning. So, today, we are going to talk about brand building. What does it take to build a successful, impactful brand? Why is brand building more important than ever? And how can you do that, most importantly, with a small budget and not a lot of resources?
Hmm.
So, we'll cover some stories of how people have pulled that off, and then we'll dive into Radina's own story as a founder and as a chief brand officer. So, without further ado, I'll hand the mic to you, Radina, and give you the chance to give a little introduction of who you are, where you're coming from, what you're working on.
Great. Yeah, first of all, thanks so much for inviting me to be part of this series, Bootstrapping a Brand. And I'm honored to be the first of the series. Yeah, a little bit about me. I'm Radina. I'm founder of Rad Amsterdam, or Radams, as some people shorten it. And as I shorten it sometimes as well. It's a tech brand incubator, and I work with tech founders as a fractional CBO, Chief Brand Officer, and help grow their brand as they're growing the business and product. So really kind of shaping what the brand looks like as the business and the product is launching and growing for long-term growth and success. So yeah.
And she's currently the chief brand officer of Capsules. So
Yeah.
Radina has helped us a lot in figuring out our own branding. And we'll talk about the process of that in more detail. But I wanted to cover basic definitions first for anyone who is coming on here who does not know about brand building, who is not in the realm of brand and storytelling
Yeah.
and those things. How would you define the term brand? What does that mean to you?
Hmm. The brand is really, if you think about it, and a lot of people often think brand or branding is just kind of the visual look, maybe just the logo or kind of the overall visual aesthetic, but it's much more rooted in what is the personality of the brand? What is the kind of the core, um, yeah, characteristics or vibe, or really the mission that's driving everything that like underpins what the personality is about, and then how do we shape what that looks and sounds like. So that's when kind of visual aesthetics and kind of tone of voice come into play. But you really need to understand who the person is if you think about personifying the brand, or even when we're talking about personal brand building, understanding what makes this person or this brand or this company unique, and what is the kind of mission that's always underpinning everything that you do, whether that's as a brand, as a company, but also your personal brand. And that's when you can really shape, okay, if I'm all about, let's say, human impact or human storytelling, then how does that come to life from a visual point of view? And what are the words that we're using to facilitate that kind of vision and mission? So really understanding what is the personality. I think that's what brand really is, and then visuals and kind of tone of voice come secondary once you figure that out. Mm.
And that brings me to my next question. How do you, in particular, go about that? Maybe you can even share the little brand brief that you usually give to clients that you're working
Yeah.
with.
So any kind of brand building project always starts with a good brief. So this is essentially kind of like a complex prompt for my brain, and I can show what that looks like as some of the questions that I share with people. Let me share screen. Oh, I am sharing. So this is what the brief looks like overall. So it asks for, asking you to kind of tell me what the vision of the brand and the business is. So a little bit of storytelling up front to really understand your origin story and what is the kind of vision overall. Understanding what is the kind of main challenge and friction that maybe brought you to thinking, okay, we need to really understand what the brand is about. And maybe that's, yeah, it comes out in copy not feeling right, or maybe the visuals don't feel like they reflect what the personality of the brand should feel like to you. Like maybe it feels too playful, but you want to be a bit more serious. And maybe like that's the challenge and the friction that you realize, like, oh, we're not looking or speaking in the way that makes sense for the brand, and it feels misaligned. So I think this question is always kind of interesting to see what that symptom is that came up for you. And then other questions of about your ICP or your audience from a more psychographic point of view. Like what is it that makes them tick? What is it that gives them the ick? Like what is the things that like excites them about your product, or maybe the solution, or maybe something that's kind of a feeling or an experience that people have. And in your case, that's storytelling and understanding where people go for their stories, for example, or what do we understand about storytellers that maybe would use capsules as a storytelling medium.
Yeah.
um, a little bit about like brands that inspire you, competitors. So a lot of this, like,
So
yeah,
yeah, I just want people to know that I went through this process. So
yeah,
I answered all of these questions with my co-founder Kieran,
mm,
and it took us days. It was such that's why another question that I have for Radina is like, is brand building, or is the work that she's doing kind of like being like a founder therapist? Because it
yeah,
is so, you really have to go deep. You really have to ask yourself kind of existential questions. And what you said earlier when we were chatting is something about, well, you kind of also have to know yourself.
yeah,
So you have to get in touch with what you're all about
mm,
and what you stand for.
yeah,
So,
yeah. A lot of that kind of comes up with this question, but it's really understanding what is the thing that drives you in building this business and this brand, and like what is the purpose and the mission that you feel passionately about. And in your case, it's, bringing impactful stories to life or helping other people tell their stories. um,
mhm,
and just, yeah, understanding what your background has been and coming to building capsules now.
yeah.
It's so meaningful. Like that is what your background is. You are a storyteller, and you've helped other people with not so easy to tell stories tell their story. Especially, I
Mhm.
know that you did a lot of stuff in the Web3 space, which is a lot of
Highly
difficult,
technical.
yeah, highly technical, difficult to understand kind of concepts for people. And it's really
Mhm.
about, yeah, understanding what it is that drives you, that becomes an extension of what the brand is about. So for you, it's always been about storytelling, or it kind of started
Mhm.
off early, and that's what your career has been shaped on. And now that's the authentic kind of origin story of your own product and your own brand. And I think that's when you kind of lead with that and you can communicate that clearly with your audience, then it becomes so much more meaningful, because they recognize that the founder and the leader and the kind of the person that's kind of leading the vision comes from a really authentic place. And when you are able to articulate that with your audience, they want to join what you're doing. Like they want to be a part of your purpose and your mission. And that's kind of the strongest in for like building a brand, because
Yeah.
people remember what your mission is about. They might not remember your name or your company's name or what it is that you do exactly, but they'll want to find out because they'll want to tell someone about what it is that you're doing. And it's like, oh wow, they're revolutionizing storytelling, and they're trying to build a platform where stories come to life, and like and
Mm-hmm.
impactful stories, and it makes people want to talk about that. So when
Mm-hmm.
you lead with purpose, it really, yeah, and your own purpose, it shapes the brand of your business and your product in a beautiful way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you touched on the word authenticity, which is pretty hyped right now, but I think for a good reason.
Yeah,
To me, what you just articulated, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that authenticity really comes from building a brand that is true to you.
yeah, exactly. I think a lot of the times, and it depends, people don't always build a brand that maybe is as personal or has the same kind of emotive impact, or you are in the kind of more creative tech space and you are in the creative expression kind of space as well.
Mm,
um, that's not always the case with the very technical kind of products, but even there I think there's always value in leading with something that feels like a stronger personality or a stronger purpose, because um, people will end up choosing the product or the brand that feels most aligned to them and what they're expecting from the brand from a messaging point of view. But yeah, also from an overall, like, does this feel professional and polished? And have they just said something that really resonates with me in terms of what I'm looking for that maybe I didn't even think about that I needed in my life?
mhm,
Mhm.
mhm.
Yeah.
Something that I wanted to touch on, as someone, as you already said, who has worked in storytelling for a decade now, which means marketing, content strategy, content production, bringing stories to life in all forms and mediums. I want for us to articulate directly what is the key difference between brand building and storytelling, brand and story.
Mhm.
They do intertwine, but there is a difference.
They do intertwine. Storytelling has always been something that people bring up as a really impactful way to not just tell your story, but of course, from a brand point of view or a company point of view, or even as a founder pitching your product or your vision, there's storytelling involved. But the difference between storytelling or story and brand is, you know, building the brand is like building the personality. So it's a kind of more defined or ever evolving, really, personality, just like our own individual human personalities. They evolve over time, and so do brands of companies. Um, so it's really kind of brand is defining what that personality is, and then storytelling or story becomes how do we articulate that maybe origin story of the personality, or how do we convey that in a storytelling way. But one is kind of defining what that character is and what that personality is, and story is conveying that in an intriguing way, in a way that captures people and brings them along to with you on your story and your journey.
Mm-hmm. Um, Rick Rubin says, I read his book, the Creative Act, and I'm a big fan. So I
Yeah,
like to
it's
pull
great.
in his quotes every now and then. And he says that brands are built by creating what you love and leaning into you and your unique advantage, which reminded me of something that
Mm,
you told me a while back about you, which is that you as a kid used to change your hair color at the time. And you said that was kind of you learning how to rebrand yourself.
yeah,
Maybe you want to touch on that.
yeah. I realized that it is. Yeah, brand building really is my ikigai. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's a Japanese concept for finding out what your purpose in life is and what it is that you bring to the world that's most meaningful, not just to you, but to people that might experience what you bring. So, yeah, brand building has yeah, I've reflected that it's always been a part of my life. I've loved changing and evolving my own brand as an individual. I've, yeah, been through all colors of the rainbow with my hair. Before this, I was bright orange and purple and also dark and black and pink at some point, blue. And I always felt like when I changed my hair color, it felt like I was realigning with who I am in this point in my life and this kind of evolution of my own brand and story. So I think, yeah, just like how I would rebrand myself and evolve my own brand. I kind of recognize that I love doing that for companies and for, yeah, people's products or other people's personal brands. I think I
Mm-hmm.
have a I think I have a skill for seeing the best in people and wanting to bring that out and wanting to share that with the world, especially if it's something that has meaningful impact and I'm personally really excited about. So I love working and collaborating with people like you who have an amazing vision, have a really cool product, and I'm like, I just want to make everyone else love it as much as I do. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that I love doing it. So from an ikigai point of view, it's understanding what you're passionate about, what you're good at doing, what's something you can make money from doing, and also what's something that you kind of do in your free time. And branding, I realized, is really something that I can do for work, I do in my personal life, and I do for myself just organically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that you, in particular, and this might be a skill that is necessary or important for people who want to do brand work and want to um, understand their own brand or the brand of others better or articulate that, is something you do really well is ask questions and you listen really well and really attentively, and you are able to deeply understand the vision and the kind of messy thrown around mission statements of founders, and somehow you take that mess that comes in like that is thrown at you in like 2 hour sessions. I'm not kidding you. I think sometimes it was over 2 hours.
I think it was
um
great sometimes. Yeah.
yeah, and you take that and you put that into something like the brand sprint that you did for us, which is a deck where you articulate in very short phrases, one word sometimes, exactly what we were trying to say, but like not quite getting it.
Yeah.
And maybe you can show that actually,
Yeah.
the brand sprint that you did for us,
Mm, Um,
just to give people a better idea of your work and what doing brand work actually is.
yeah. So is this, am I sharing
But
my screen on the right?
yes, now you are.
Right. So after I get the complex brief, so this was part of the 2 week brand sprint that we did together for capsules. And after kind of completing the brief form that I shared earlier and then absorbing that information, we then had a workshop session where we went through all the questions and answers. And that was also really insightful and really interesting stuff came out from that. And then I take all of that information in our workshop session and I put it together in a very minimal deck, which is what you're seeing on screen now, and really just focusing on simplifying the mess and all the information that we learned about the brand and your journey and your story, and putting it on a page in really simple terms and really simple words, but just a few words that encapsulate what the brand is about in a impactful way. So it is a brand sprint. It is a how do we do an MVP version of brand strategy and how do we kind of do something that isn't yeah, just super elaborate and like really fluffy decks, but just something that's really kind of in a nutshell, in a capsule, what your brand is about. So these are some of the slides that we took it through. So yeah, looking at the purpose of the sprint, what we're covering, a brief in a sentence. So building a strong brand that spearheads the new category of human-led storytelling brought to life with AI, which ended up being something that we used as well in articulating what it is that Capsules is, which is this blend of human-led storytelling brought to life with AI. So it's not just in the purest form of just human creation and not just like AI creation, but it's human led with bringing it to life with AI, and that kind of became something that we used
Mm-hmm.
um, and bring it to life. So just kind of skimming through what this looks like, looking at the opportunity and the landscape and the audience, storytellers and story readers. Like you'd have two audiences that we are capturing with capsules. Um, and then, yeah, really kind of combining it into or reducing it to just a few words in what capsules is, which is living stories.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to interject here and just
yeah,
say that anybody who has heard me talk about capsules recently in the last month has heard me say, this is where we bring stories to life. I
yeah,
like to say we bring stories to life.
exactly.
And Radina is the one who coined that. So, round of applause. And I also really love this slide where you come up with
Oh yes,
wonderful containers for
where
stories.
stories come to
It's one of
life.
my favorites.
Yes, it's coming up here. So what I really love to do is when it comes to brand strategy, like you have so many frameworks and so many different parameters and characteristics and things to keep in mind. But I think especially at early stages and when there's so many different things to consider in building the business and the brand, and this is something that big brands also look at. But like, what is the one thing that you own from like a brand essence point of view? And Volvo, for example, is safety. Disney is magic. And we landed on capsules being wonder. And I think for me, that became something that really inspired what capsules is about because we want to inspire people and reignite their passion for storytelling, not just reading stories, but also telling stories. And I think cap really captive and interesting and inspiring stories give you that sense of wonder. And I wanted to bring that kind of feeling to life. And I think that really became a really powerful way to have one simple brand filter to understand like in anything that you're building as a brand, is this giving me wonder? Does it make me feel like, wow, like what is this? Like what am I diving into? Like what is the story that I can't wait to read?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, wonder really became the thing that encapsulated capsules in like
I love it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so much more. I mean, you really dive deep with people, but I want to cover something that I think is just important for the moment, which is you have worked in brand building for 15 years now. So you've worked with huge conglomerates, big companies, and now you're working with early stage startup founders. But have you seen a trend of brand building or the word brand just becoming more needed, more appreciated?
Yeah.
Is that something that you're noticing?
It is something that I'm noticing for sure. There's a lot around, especially now in the space that we're in the tech space and the AI space, um, and even in the product space. I mean, now that shipping a product is takes only a few hours, like you can ship so easily and you can ship so many products so easily and so quickly that it starts to all feel the same, and that's exactly where in the marketplace of like a sea of similar products, you need one to kind of stand out, and that's really where brand starts to become important. And I'm seeing that more people are realizing that that's an important part of launching a brand or launching rather a product or a business. You really kind of want to enter the market looking like a category leader and looking as someone who's owning the space but in a meaningful and authentic way, someone who looks polished and professional and is like speaking to your audience in the way that resonates with them and that maybe inspires them in your case, and really makes them think, oh wow, this looks amazing and it's exactly what I need, and it's exactly like maybe it hits a note that they didn't, yeah, maybe they discovered and they didn't realize it's the thing that they needed all this time. And I think I talk about this a little bit in the brand sprint in terms of capsules, and it's people might not be thinking about a new storytelling medium, but once you
Mhm.
show it to them and once you articulate that, where have our where do we go? What's our outlet? Or like where's the channel that we go to for reading interesting stories? And we're reading less, and now we're just consuming bite-sized stories on social channels instead of taking some time and reading something that uh yeah, a fellow human put together for the world. And I think um people are understanding that you need to have a strong brand and a strong kind of personality and messaging. And taste is another kind of adjacent word that's coming up, and actually something that people are approaching me for. Because what I do is really kind of I create these brand sprints and I do these high impact, short time frame um, kind of brand building exercises, an MVP of a brand strategy. And that's what people like you, for example, are using to then train their own LLMs in building that brand brain along
Yeah,
with building the business. So people are understanding that they need an expert to be able to feed that into their LLM and really articulate what it is that is about their brand that's special and that they can, yeah, use for their go to market and use for their marketing overall.
exactly. What is it about their brand that's special? And AI
Yeah,
tends to kind of like skew us towards the median and the
yeah,
answers and the out uh, output.
exactly.
So yeah, this is really where a depth of understanding and kind of like having a brand therapist comes in really helpful.
Yeah.
Um, on the topic of brand building, it is how can you go about becoming a category leader, becoming someone because you can stand out in various different ways, but I think it's important to stand for something in order to stand out and to have strong opinions on something.
Exactly.
So how do you go about that?
Um, Having a strong brand is really what makes you look like a category leader and can make you look like one from the moment you step into the market. And I think to do that, you need to have, yeah, maybe done a brand sprint with me or kind of done the brand framework that positions you and kind of shapes your messaging and your look and feel overall, but really your purpose and like what is the thing that you're communicating with people. And I think when you have that purpose that drives you, it's the thing that really underpins everything and helps. It's kind of like being a thought leader in the space. If you're really passionate about your mission, you have a lot of thoughts and opinions to share about that, and people then
Yeah.
they listen to that or they read what you're writing about that, or even just because it comes naturally to you because it's so kind of important to you in your core, then it becomes a really easy way to always communicate that with the world. And people, like I said to you before, really they want to be a part of your mission and your vision. People get really inspired by your own passion, and it
Mhm.
makes people want to join your club. It makes people want to join your product, even if maybe they weren't completely sold. They'll probably be sold on who you are and what your vision
Yeah.
is, and want to support you and want to share what you're doing with the world. Um, and it's like free advertising. Like people want to talk about like, oh, like they want to change the way we're talking about stories, or they want to change, like reignite storytelling in the world.
Hmm.
And it's, perhaps other people could say that, but to you, it's so meaningful because that is your true origin story,
Hmm.
and it makes the communication you have with the world even more powerful because it's really true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're also a founder.
Yes.
You're the founder of Rad Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Um, you have only been in Amsterdam for I think a year and a half.
About a year and a half. Yeah.
And let me tell you, people, her brand, Rad Amsterdam, is quite well known here. I'm currently in Amsterdam, and I have the benefit of walking around with Radina and her being recognized. So
Yeah.
I just want to know, just briefly, how you went about building that brand here.
Mhm.
What made that, let's say, a success for you now? You're kind of like reaping the benefits of your labor. How did you go about that?
Yeah. So Red Amsterdam started at the beginning of the year, and it was kind of an evolution of my own brand, even from a visual and logo point of view. When I was working independently for the last 5, 6 years, and working with different founding teams across AI and Web3, I, yeah, I was positioning myself as me, a freelance brand specialist who worked with different founding teams. And yeah, my logo was my name. It was Radina. And that evolved into Rad Amsterdam, because it's kind of my own personal naming style. I name a lot of the projects and things that I do with Rad something. Like I have a SoundCloud called Rad Radio, if anyone wants to follow that. And Rad Amsterdam kind of became the my flag on the moon moment. And the more I thought about Amsterdam, the more it made sense, as a reflection of what I do and who I am. I love the convergence of tech, art, innovation, and creativity in Amsterdam, and it's it's kind of symbolic of my own personal and professional diagram, and kind of tells a story about who I am and what I'm doing. And even though I'm based in Amsterdam and I'm working with tech founders and I'm plugged into the tech scene here, I'm still working with global clients, and to them, it's also interesting, to see what I'm doing in Amsterdam from being part of the tech ecosystem perspective. And Amsterdam is a cool place, and what I do and the brands that I build are also cool, or I strive for them to be like that, and to be interesting, to be rad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it kind of naturally shaped into what I do now, which is it is a tech brand incubator, and I'm celebrating and promoting a lot of the tech startups, in the space here, by going to different events, by meeting different tech founders, learning about different technologies, and most recently starting a newsletter, a Radams newsletter on AI events in Amsterdam and beyond. So yeah, also sharing what's cool that's happening in the city. It's really kind of all come together and really feels aligned. Mm,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, talking about what you're currently working on, part of what you're currently working on is a really cool campaign,
Yeah.
dare I say, for capsules.
Yeah.
And I really want to. I learn from examples. I learn from personal stories. So that's what I want to
Mm,
give to people, so people can walk away from something tangible, with something tangible from this episode, and maybe we can show what you've worked on, and we can talk about the first 100, how you came up with that, what does that mean. So this is a campaign that will be running very soon for capsules that Radina is working on with us, and
yes.
that I'm pretty excited about. Let's hear more about
Yeah.
it.
So when we did the
I can
brand sprint,
also allow you to share your screen so you can, there you
yes.
go.
So this was actually in the brand sprint. We already, so when defining the framework of the brand, and kind of defining what the characteristics are, and looking at the brand essence being wonder, looking at how we position and talk about what we do, which is bringing stories to life, or capsules being the place where stories live. Then that kind of that's where I look at how does this now translate into communication, as a comms direction. And for capsules, it was really about, since this is the new storytelling medium, and this is our kind of vision and what we're doing with the product, the comms became all around just showing capsules everywhere, because it was really being, using our own medium for storytelling is to tell our own story. So it's really kind of owning the capsule shape, for example, is one of the things that became a part of how we communicate the brand from a visual point of view. Um, but really kind of, yeah, taking this idea of owning the capsule shape and just filling every possible channel with capsules everywhere. And
Mhm.
then that kind of defined what the campaign is about, which is starting with the first 100 Wonderful capsules. So I'll show a little bit about that from the brand sprint, but then also from the slides that we did for the campaign direction as well.
Yes. Yes.
So
See
this is
it.
kind of in the brand sprint when we were looking at the visual language and really kind of owning the capsule shape, um, and really kind of going all out with um, showing these living stories. And I think this was kind of what I was trying to say earlier, which was really flooding everything with capsules and really kind of using that as our own storytelling medium to tell our own story.
Mhm.
Share the other slide as well. Did that change on your side? Yeah.
Yes, that's the campaign direction.
Yeah. So this was a recap of where we're at and what we're doing. We're looking at um, attracting more founding creators as a brief for the go-to-market strategy or the campaign that we're launching. This was a reminder of what the brand is about, like what is the mission, what is our kind of essence, or which is wonder. So making sure that everything kind of gives that sense of wonder in what we do as a brand. Understanding who this is for and what we want to say with two storytellers that we're trying to attract. And I think there's something in, storytellers really want to tell their story in an interesting way and they want to share it with the world and they want to make it a beautiful experience, which is exactly where capsules fits in.
Mm.
So we wanted to invite them to be one of the special 100 and really kind of give them not just the tool, but the platform to, yeah, to give them a chance to be immortalized in this history of novel storytelling with us.
Mhm.
So, like, as you can see, it really speaks to your mission of being a platform for impactful storytellers and then really kind of building on that with the first 100. So this is a
So, what
campaign.
is the first 100?
So this is the campaign that we're launching for capsules. We want to attract the first 100 creators or founding creators on the platform, and we're building a gallery of 100 capsules, 100 interesting, captivating, impactful, human-led stories brought to life with AI. So this
Mhm.
is what we're launching now, and this is how I kind of started to build this out in terms of where do we reach them. Our vehicle is capsule, so everything we do from a marketing point of view is really using our own storytelling medium to tell our own story. So we're trying to convey that not just by telling people what we want to do, but actually just creating these capsules with creators. So it's not about us, but it's about being the platform for other storytellers.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it was all around kind of building this space where we collect the first 100 wonders is
Yeah.
potentially what I'm thinking of for the gallery.
Yes, I was just gonna say. By the way, so this is a topic that's really important to me as a bootstrapping founder. We're obviously we don't have millions of dollars that we're working with in terms of a marketing budget, in terms of a branding budget. We have very, very low resources, and we need to work with those little resources that we have to bring something amazing and wonderful to life.
Yes.
So you have to work scrappily. You have to just be creative. You have to ask your friends for help. You have to find a space that is not going to charge you thousands of dollars when you're going to rent it for your gallery of 100 capsules,
Yes.
which we're, by the way, planning to do once we have the 100 capsules, which founding creators can submit one capsule to be part of part of this campaign. And once we have them, we're planning on putting these up in a physical space on
Yes.
digital screens that you can interact with. So I'm very excited about this, but this is an aspect, I guess, of building brand campaigns more so than which is part of brand building, that I'm very keen on touching on in these episodes is how can you do that on a small budget.
Yes. And that's kind of what I'm building the whole business on. I'm working with early stage founders and startups, but also scale ups where maybe there's a growth stage. Maybe there's like a new product or a new market that they're entering, but also with early stage um, is kind of where I'm best matched. I'm really good at doing high impact um, sprints or like something that kind of removes all the fluff from what we're doing, but really focuses on what is the MVP and what is like the most important thing that will give you the foundation to build an impactful brand. So not just spending hours and days and months on building the brand, but shaping just a few ingredients that tell your story in an impactful way, especially for early stage. And the 2 week brand sprint is why I do that. I think it brings a lot of value to people early on. It helps with creating this foundation and showing up as a category leader from the get go, from the first time you enter the market. And I really find value in that. And it speaks to what it is that my purpose is yeah, helping people who are creating and building products that shape our future, but also our present in a meaningful way. And Capsules as a new storytelling tech platform is doing just that. And yeah, I want to support that from the beginning and helps facilitate that long-term growth as well.
Mm-hmm. So I think we've come pretty much to the end here, but I just want to give the opportunity to bring anything up that hasn't been covered. Maybe you can also share something that you have recently learned, or maybe something that is really exciting for you going forward. Anything that's on your mind.
Um, I'm excited to continue building capsules.
Yeah, so happy to hear.
Yeah, very, very much excited. I love seeing how inspired people have been from, yeah, everyone we've been speaking to here in the tech community in Amsterdam, but also beyond. And I know some of the conversations that you're having and people that are interested in capsules. So I think, yeah, I have to say that's probably one of the things that I'm most excited about now, helping you build that. But yeah, I guess continuing to build my own business and helping other tech founders who are building something meaningful or building tech with impact. And even if it's something more functional, you can still do that. There's still room for building something that isn't just, yeah, filling a void or filling a gap, but what is the thing that's creating impact beyond your product? And I want to help people uncover that and communicate that and help them grow the business through brand. Is yeah what I'm continuing to be excited about. I guess my ikigai.
That's Radina's magic. That's what she does. Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
amazing.
yeah. Thank you so much again for having me on the first edition of Bootstrapping a Brand.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Good to reflect on these things. And as an early stage founder myself, I would highly encourage building, really thinking deeply about brand early on, because it makes a world of a difference. I can recommend working with Radina as well. It's been
Yeah.
really amazing, magical. That's why we're still here.
What is the thing that yeah what is the thing or the point where it felt like it really clicked for you when we worked on the brand? Like what are um yeah, what's your reflection on the process, and when did you feel like, ah, this is now everything is kind of clear and
Well,
um,
first of all, I think starting with a brand sprint, the questions that you have outlined, I don't know how many there are in total, but is quite a number of
like
questions.
10?
And going through these questions will take time. It's an effort, and it's a great exercise, and a very, very
Mm,
worthy exercise, especially for early stage founders who probably are spending so much time working on product and just like day-to-day operations and day-to-day like screen like fires that need to be put out,
yeah.
that you just don't take the time to think deeply about
Mm,
questions like, ooh, what's the mission that you really want to create in this world, and what are your values, and what, it's so working with you made us put that work on us and made us do that for you.
yeah. Yeah.
And then once I saw the deck, I mean, walking through that deck when we were on the call with you, the deck that you made from the 2 hour plus call that we had, where we went through the initial brand brief intake form together and
Yeah.
our answers to your questions, I was just so wowed. It's just that you really, really understand us. You really understood us. You understood what we're about. You understood what we're trying to create in the world. But then you managed to articulate it so much more concisely, so
Mm,
much better than we ever have. And so it was this, I had a wonderful moment
yeah.
walking, like witnessing you walk through that deck with us, that first deck. And
Mm,
then, yeah, that was just clear, like this work is invaluable.
mm,
It's so, so important for us.
yeah.
And you have a talent of kind of having that intuition, that finesse of really understanding what the founders are about and what they're really trying to do in the world, and then articulating that very concisely, very clearly.
Yeah, I think that's also and maybe is really the true kind of impact that people don't realize they need at the beginning when you do a brand sprint, like being able to articulate what your product does and what it is that you're about and what the mission is that you're saying. I think even for me, it really clicked when you pitched capsules after we did the brand sprint here in Amsterdam at Tech Makers one Friday
Yeah,
evening.
I can share that. Let me
Yeah.
share.
And even after the brand sprint, when I saw how you, and this is kind of a big reason why I keep things very simple and very minimal with the deck, is I want it to be something that becomes easy for the founders and for the team building the business and the brand to take and then feed into their LLMs and kind of build that brand brain. But this kind of gives you the ingredients to build that, and then you did that.
Yeah,
It was reflected on the website very quickly. I was like, wow, like everything makes so much more sense now. And then also with this pitch deck that you're showing us now,
yeah,
and when I saw you pitch it, I was like, wow, it's really articulated so well now. Everyone got it. Even the Uber
yeah.
driver, we went
Even
together.
the Uber driver, when I was pitching in the Uber,
You pitched everything, yeah, in Uber, and he
it was amazing.
also wanted to sign up. He's like, wow, where can I? So I can use this to create.
Yeah, and he
Um,
got it without even seeing any visuals. It was amazing.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think this is
So
something that's kind of underrated. Having this kind of brand sprint gives you the right words to articulate what it is that you're presenting to the world. And when I saw you kind of very organically adopt the new words and the way we communicate what capsules is, it made me really happy because I've created something that not just speaks to people, but it's easy for you to say as a founder.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and it was
yeah.
lovely. Everyone was so inspired and wanted to join council straight away, which was great.
Yeah. Well, we'll wrap it up here. We're almost at an hour, but thanks everyone who tuned in, and I hope this was insightful, helpful. I'll have more of these in the future. I have a few guests lined up that I'm really excited to talk to as well. And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, stay tuned for more capsules.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ciao, ciao.